Good morning, my dear students. I hope you all are fit and healthy. So, dear students, today we will learn about the economic importance of bacteria. So, first importance is their role in sewage treatment. So, let us see the role of bacteria in sewage treatment. So, methanogenic bacteria such as Methanococcus, Methanobacterium, what they do is that they break down the organic matter of sewage and they are releasing gas, that is methane and carbon dioxide. The mixture of these gases, it is known as biogas and it is used as a biogas fuel. So dear students, you need to remember the names, that is Methanococcus, Methanobacterium. They are the methanogenic bacteria and they are involved in sewage treatment. Then the next economic importance is that the role of bacteria in antibiotic production. So antibiotic, it is an chemical which is produced by microorganism and they are used to treat bacterial and fungal infections. So the antibiotics like chloromycetin, streptomycetin, erythromycin, these antibiotics, they are produced by bacteria and they inhibit the growth of other pathogenic bacteria. So they are also used to control and cure diseases like typhoid, diphtheria, pneumonia and tuberculosis. So some of the antibiotics as mentioned here, they are polymyxin E, tyrothricin, polymyxin G, bacitracin. So these antibiotics, they are produced by different species of bacteria, that is bacillus. So these antibiotics, they are produced by bacteria and they are effective against many pathogenic bacteria. Now let us see the role of bacteria in various household items. So the household products such as cheese, curd, they are produced with the help of bacteria. So bacteria, that is lactobacillus bacteria, it promotes formation of milk products such as cheese and curd. So let us see here first of all that how curd is formed. You know, curd, it is produced from milk and the microorganism, the bacteria involved here, it is lactobacillus bacteria. During curd formation, the milk sugar, that is lactose, it is converted into lactic acid which further coagulates milk protein, that is casein, to form curd. So this is how lactobacillus bacteria, it is playing a major role in curd formation by the production of lactic acid. Now let us see the role of bacteria in cheese production. Certain lactic acid bacteria, they also produce cheese. So certain lactic acid bacteria, they turn the milk sour and they convert the milk sugar, that is lactose, into lactic acid. And as you have seen, it further coagulates the milk protein, that is casein, to form curd. Now from this curd, we are separating the semi-solid component, that is curd, from the fluid and it is made into cheese. So this is how a cheese is made with the help of bacteria, that is lactic acid bacteria or lactobacillus bacteria. Now my dear students, let us start the second kingdom, that is kingdom Protista. So you know, Protista, it includes the organisms that are unicellular but they are eukaryotic in nature. So protists are simple unicellular eukaryotic organisms and they have well-defined nucleus as well as membrane-bound organelles. Now another feature is that for locomotion they have hair-like structures called cilia, or they may have whip-like structures called flagella or pseudopodia. So dear students, you need to learn the two general characteristics of each kingdom. So let us see here further the classification of this kingdom Protista into further various groups. So this kingdom protista, it is again divided into three types, that is photosynthetic protist, slime molds and protozoan protist. As you can see here in the picture, the photosynthetic protist, they are further divided into three types, that is dinoflagellates, chrysophytes and eugglenoids. After that, the next group, that is slime mold, it is again divided into two subtypes, acellular slime molds and cellular slime molds. Then the third group, that is protozoan protist, here it is again divided into further subtypes, and these are named as zooflagellata, rhizopodia, sporozoa and ciliata. So my dear students, let's see the first one, that is photosynthetic protist. So here we will study today about dinoflagellates. Dinoflagellate, it is under group photosynthetic protist, or you can say protistan algae. So now you should know that where they are found, they are mostly marine, means they are found in aquatic environment, and they are photosynthetic protist, means they are doing the process of photosynthesis. Then after that they may appear yellow, green, blue, red, depending on the pigment which is present in their cell. So here you can see, this is the body of a dinoflagellate, and you can see here the body, it is enclosed by a cell wall. The four structures which I have drawn, they are the cell wall. So this cell wall, it is enclosed by a rigid coat that is known as lorica or theca, and their cell wall, it is made up of cellulose, which is further enclosed by a layer rigid coat that is referred to as theca. Then you can see here this lorica, it is further provided with two grooves. One is the longitudinal groove, which is along the length, and the other one is the transverse groove. So in the body of dinoflagellate, you will find that the cell wall, which is made up of cellulose, it is further enclosed by a rigid coat that is referred to as theca or lorica, and lorica, it is provided with two grooves, as you can see here, longitudinal and transverse groove. And there are two flagella. One is longitudinal flagella that I have shown in the longitudinal groove, that is sulcus flagellum, and other in the transverse groove, that is known as annular flagellum. So you need to learn two examples under dinoflagellate, that is Serratium or goniolates. So these are the two examples of dinoflagellate. I repeat, it is Serratium and goniolates. Now this goniolates member, it is of great importance. The reason is that it produces red tide in the sea. So red tide, it is basically the phenomena of discoloration of sea, as you can see in the picture. So the sea surface, it has turned red. So certain species of dinoflagellate like goniolates, they contain the photosynthetic pigment that vary in color from brown to red, and these organisms, they undergo such rapid multiplication that they make the sea appear red. Hence you can see the red tide, it is formed by the member of dinoflagellate, that is goniolates. And another economic importance of dinoflagellate is that you should know that this goniolates, it is poisonous to vertebrates, to man. The reason is that when they are in large number, they produce a toxin that is known as saxitoxin, and this kills fish and other aquatic organisms. So the mollusca members, when they eat this large number of dinoflagellate, this poison goes into their body, and further the consumption of these mollusks by man causes severe illness known as paralytic shellfish poisoning. So this disease, it is very fatal. It may cause death in man. So you can see how harmful, how hazardous this single unicellular eukaryotic member is. So my dear students, today you have learned about the economic importance of bacteria as well as we have studied about the dinoflagellates. So this is all for today. Take care everyone.